Right, before we start, I just want to read you something, and you've got to look directly at me while I read this out to you. This is related to what's happened a year ago. Around-ish. Like the brief time we had together a year ago in Singapore, every minute we shared 103 days ago in Hanoi was also a moment of glory that remains a precious memory. Such a precious memory that I have, in my unwavering respect for you, will provide impetus for me to take my steps when we walk toward each other again someday in the future. It's quite nice, isn't it? Yeah. That's Kim Jong-un to Donald Trump.
The romance they do have for each other.
Yeah. It's terrifying. It's a good way to start the second episode.
They just want to sit there and press each other's big red button.
So, we're in a little bubble, aren't we?
Little bubble.
That's how we're able to do this still. We're still sat far apart and... Don't know, 2 meters, 1 meter? It's enough.
It's good enough.
Yeah, we got a stick, measures it, so it's at a distance. But unfortunately, there's no one else here.
No one else here. We had a couple of guests planned, but...
Yeah, apologies to anyone who we were in contact with. I imagine some people are going to be screaming at the cameras while we talk today. Not mentioning any names.
We were trying to figure ways around of doing this, but then lockdown happened, and the most sensible way to do it was
to limit
our contact. Even we keep 2 meters apart.
The whole area is sanitised, and as well, it's track and traced this building. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure how helpful that is. I mean, that's the best we can do. Right, let's get into the 3rd and 4th week of January-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about some stories that happened. So, we're going to start off with a story that wasn't front page news, but I think it's a good conversation starter. So, The Guardian came out with schools converting toilet blocks into isolation booths. Now, that is absolutely what it says on the tin. That is, some schools are taking old toilet places and converting them, and you can see them now, they're just chair, walls, and you can't even see to the next person. I mean, did you have them in that's a primary school.
A primary school?
That's a primary school. Well, it's a primary school and secondary school, but that's definitely a primary school because it's way too, it looks more like a nursery, but it's not a nursery. But yeah, that's primary school. Did you have them in primary school or secondary school?
Definitely didn't have them in primary school, but secondary school, they were the shit. They were what every substitute teacher's favourite thing was. It was
an easy way of...
It was just such an easy way. And even new teachers, and even some teachers I've been there for a while, it's just, if they were having a bad day and some kid was being an arsehole, they'd get on call and...
Did you ever get put in?
I never got put in. I was a golden child.
Did you Did you have detentions?
I had detentions in there. Okay. And I got put on a report card for once. And I think that's because I was going through my rebellious stage.
What was that?
I played up to my maths teacher a few too many times.
No, fair enough.
But I mean, what year 9-year-old wants to sit in the maths class?
Yeah, no.
But no, I remember it's in the main block. You got the flight stairs, it's opposite the library. And it's just
it's always in the mine was in the library as well, yeah.
And it was just this room opposite the library, and it was just all around the edges of this room, which is little cubes that you could just sit in and do your work.
It does more harm than good, for sure.
It's because kids are like, well, I don't have to sit in a maths class now, or it's just a way of, I don't know. For me, when I was going through year 9, year 10 kind of thing, obviously I was never the kid that got put into these kind of things. But for me, when I saw it was the kids that did it. They then continuously did it
because
it never got proven that it actually worked.
No, it never worked. I mean, my secondary school, I'm absolutely happy to call them out on it. Falmouth Academy, I think they're called now. Fucking stupid. The headmaster there, well, previous headmaster, was an absolute knobhead, and they were found they were forcibly removing children out of their exams or stuff to make the results look better, and that's what an Ofsted report found. And there was the kids in my class, and I vividly remember how long until they get kicked out of lesson and get put into isolation. Like how long? And there's one kid who, nice guy, but 10 minutes in, just kicked off, and she was just, right, that's it, have enough. Geography it was, and she just kicked him out. And then, so I was withdrawn from RE, that's how they had to word it. And I was put in the same room as isolation takes place in. And I saw people who were in isolation, every time they tried to talk to me, they were shouted at and told to just turn around and keep their head. Yeah, it's not, it doesn't do, because then you limit time with other mates, and then it's just them on their own, and then they'll go into college and there'll be difficulty with speaking with people and communication issues. But I just don't think
there's never any positive ways of how it works. And don't get me wrong, there are some kids that generally you had to remove them from class, and
because you're disrupting others. Yeah,
you can't babysit them. Like, another method was taking kids from classes and putting them in a lower classes room. So if they were in year 9, they'd take a kid out and put them two doors down in a year 7 class at the back of the classroom. That's very embarrassing. That's the way they did it, and they started using all these different other methods, and it got weird. And as I got older, like, we kind of had the same method of it all being taken out of report cards until I got to about year 11, or when I went into 6th form for year 12, because I stayed in the same school. And then they started bringing in like more after school detentions, and it was like, even if you were late to lessons, all these minutes would add up throughout the day.
Is that C1, C2, and
C3? C1. And then at the end of a Friday, you'd get like your report back of how many minutes you owed the school, and you had to go and sit in the hall with all these kids in rows of tables.
People just get up when they were finished, and they'd serve their time.
And they'd have to serve the time they owed to the school.
Oh my God, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was horrendous. Like, luckily I never had to do it, but my sister's younger than me, and when she was in about year 8, she like started to experience this about on Fridays, how all these kids had to march to like the hall to then serve the time. It might be 3 minutes, but
you have to do it.
You have to go and sit there. And then my sister would be like, oh, but my bus, and they'd be like, well, it's only 3 minutes. And my sister would still be able to
but the 3
go.
minutes,
And sometimes she'd even be able to make it to the bus. And it's like, that's how stupid these time managements sometimes got.
I'm just seeing like teachers here talking about horror stories from pupils, and like the image, hopefully we'll get the image to show to everyone watching. But God, it looks very depressing. You can tell it was an old toilet block as well.
That's just
that is a primary school. I've just seen the note. Yeah, that is a primary school.
But that just shows how desperate they are to suddenly start controlling kids even more. They're trying to take over more rooms to discipline kids instead of trying to learn what the problem is.
Some kids are just some
kids generally just don't get on with school.
I've noticed that the kids who got in trouble at school, and are mostly boys, they all had ADHD, and that's not tackled enough. Education now is very different.
It's very different from the years of going from, like I said, me growing up into a school, and then my sister going through the same school 5 years later.
Yeah. Oh, it's
changed massively. Like, we had some people in charge of our school, but as soon as my sister started coming into school, there we had a head teacher, and then we had three or four deputy heads, and then some head of 6th form and stuff. And we had these people who were in charge. And because our school was quite a large ground, we had like our main block and then a few blocks around it, and then about a trek up this walk through these fields, and then you've got the like English and music blocks at the top.
Okay.
And we had these people, and they were mainly men. There was 3 men, and coincidentally, they were all bald, and they had these walkie-talkies, and they would walk around school, trying to like find these kids who were misbehaving and whatnot. And they were nicknamed the Bold Patrol. Because they would just storm around school looking for these kids to grab and put in isolation.
Were they aware that they were called that?
I do not know.
I really hope that they might have known.
I hope they know, but it was so funny.
Weird though. We had a teacher on smoking duty, and he was a dad of someone at the school. He's lovely. He was really nice, and I think he's the head now actually. I like you. And he was on like, I think it was called smoking duty, and they would just go to the same 3 places and just walk around. My question is that if you've been caught there once, go to a different place. But then when you get into 6th form, you could obviously just walk to Mackey's and just because it's not that far from primary school. But you find like year 7s and 8s just smoking around the back of the food tech classes. Mm-hmm. Around the food tech classes, my form teacher was a food tech, and she brought people in while she was delivering our form session. She brought people in to sit there during our form session, then had words with them, then sent them to isolation for the whole day. 3 lessons we had 3 lessons a day. Ridiculous. And it was an hour and 40, and then sometimes you'd have they're all double lessons. So one time you'd have food tech and product design,
Yeah.
half and half. But yeah, an hour and 40. And my worst day was Spanish, geography, history, and it was Wednesdays, and it was that both weeks as well. But yeah,
The sad thing is that I agree. Those are the three worst subjects, but yeah, I chose to do geography and history for GCSE.
It's not so much. It was more the classrooms. The Spanish classroom had no light. It was like not underground. But there was no light coming in. Geography, bless her, I really liked her, but she was losing it when she was our teacher. And then history, I mean, she was more of a friend than a teacher. So there wasn't really much learning going on, to be honest. And then history, all you learn about is just, I don't know what we learn about.
Wars.
So, there's another story that broke on the same day, which is just horrible to read. Reads, Sunderland woman injured in suspected homophobic attack. So this is a story of a 20-year-old woman who was attacked by two men for what she thinks, the reason being that she is gay. And she also says this isn't the first time it's happened, and she's 20. To have that thrown at you, and you're being 20 years old, I just can't even. It's disgusting. What are your thoughts on this whole?
Horrific just to know a 20-year-old. Like, I'm 19. I couldn't even. I don't even want to think that that's something that could happen to me.
Yeah.
Just walking down the street and just being beaten up.
Yeah, and not even I'm not saying it's more common for these things to happen at night, but this happened in the morning, when she was walking to meet her friend.
Which makes it even worse because at least
people will think it's so. Yeah.
You'd feel a little bit safer in the daylight. But
yeah.
And like for me, like I identify as gay, and so it's not like these things have always crossed my mind. It's like walking down the street at dark when you're alone, and like I even like when we could have parties, and I'd just be the one to nip to the shop to go and get some lemonade or something.
Yeah.
It would, if I wouldn't want to go alone, and like it's those kind of things that everyone has those thoughts, and like I know, especially for women and gay people, and just to know it happens, and these stories are coming out more and more and more, and this is obviously such a brutal one because they happen a lot of the time and they're not even reported, and then this one to be reported, it must have been that bad. Like a newspaper even said the woman was left blooded and bruised, and she was just there, not knowing what to do, no help, no nothing.
Yeah, we're not gonna. There is a picture of the woman that her mother posted onto Facebook with her consent, just to show her how, just to sort of stir some visceral reaction to it. Obviously, we're not gonna show that, but feel free to look that up for yourselves, because it's horrendous. The idea that you could do something to someone for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And also, how old are these men? And what, she's 20? Not saying that it's justified if people are the same age, but that takes another sort of.
And and I don't even mean for this to come from a sexist point of view, but for two men to attack a woman who was by herself simply by her appearance.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming they did not know her. They did.
Yeah, no, she doesn't know them. Yeah.
They were just two random people, and simply because of the way she looked, they hurt her. They punched her in the head. They scarred her mentally and physically. I remember during first year, I was in a club, and I think this was the first time.
What club were you in?
Mangoes.
Okay, just double check.
And I was in there, and I was with someone, another male, and we were kissing in the club, having just drunken kind of nights, and obviously I was drunk and I had a drink in my hand, and where I was stumbling and I accidentally poured some of the drink on this woman, and she must have been in her 40s.
Okay,
so he's a 40-year-old in a club. I know, it happens. And the way, it was only a tiny bit, because I still had about at least, because you know how big the glasses are in Mangoes, they're not that big.
Oh, yeah.
I still had a good 2/3 left in this glass.
Okay,
so it was only like a drop.
It's enough to be like, oh, what's that like?
Yeah. And what happened was, she pulled me off of him, she looked at me and was like, "That's disgusting. Look what you've done to me. Look what you're doing has caused all this." She pulled the drink out of my hand and poured it on me.
Fuck it, have you not told me about this before?
Have I not told you about this story?
No. So you were thinking that I was meant to be like, oh, acting like I never heard it. No, I've never heard the story.
Yeah, so...
No, I didn't think it was going to go there.
This happened, drink poured on me. I think it only like went down the right side of my body.
Yeah.
But because I was drunk, I was a bit like, oh, what the fuck, and I kind of walked off. And then it kind of hit me afterwards what had happened.
Yeah, would she
Then
have...
they went and told the bouncers, and then she told the bouncers that she never did that. She told them that I threw a drink on her, and that she retaliated by throwing another drink on me. But this whole time, her boyfriend or husband or whatever was stood about 10 steps behind her going, like, what as if it's happened, and not even wanting to get involved.
Fucking... Would she have reacted like that if you were kissing a girl?
Well, that's the question. So that's why I've always looked at it. It's like, no, I don't think I've ever had a homophobic kind of experience. Yeah. No. I think it was just an instance of, I think maybe if I didn't spill the drink on her, would she have done that? But it wasn't even that much of a drink. No. Because I still had enough of the drink left in me for her to throw it on me and me get soaked. Not soaked, but like,
Yeah, but enough
and
to...
so it just resulted in me telling the bouncers kicking around, her telling a whole...
Oh, okay, that's good on the bouncers then.
Her telling a whole different story about how...
That's good on the bouncers to get fair play.
That's the only ever experience. And so that moment I still think about a lot. Yeah. So for her, this 20-year-old who has been beaten and bruised, this is going to be with her for the rest of her life and scared to walk down the street by herself. Yeah,
completely.
And it just may affect her solely. She might change the way she dresses, she might not. It depends on how mentally strong she is.
Yeah. But I mean, being 20, I can't remember myself at 20 years old. I mean...
That's such a long time ago.
You're not... It was 2 years ago. It's not that long ago. 3 years ago, actually, almost. Shit. 20, you're not expected to confront those massive decisions that early on into adulthood. You've literally just stopped being a teenager. So in this country, homophobia still strife as ever?
It's still a massive thing that I think it's enough. I think we've come far enough in an aspect of majority, I'd say, people in the straight community believe it's not a massive issue anymore. I think it's come that far, but within the gay community, we still know there's so much more.
Well, I think so. Yeah, obviously we've come far in terms of laws and but in terms of attitudes,
in terms of actually everyone kind of coming to terms with it. I think with England and the UK being so advanced in terms of everything else, you think they'd be advanced in this, but it gets to a point of where there's still so many people in power who are big-headed and homophobic that it reflects on everyone.
As much as they don't say they're homophobic, their actions and words, their previous statements speak louder. When Boris Johnson said, he did say bum boys, didn't he? He did say bum boys. I mean, that's something you say in year 5 when you don't really know what you're saying.
I mean, don't get me wrong, there's sometimes, like, if you're with your mates, you can say it funny and you know they don't mean it. But again, it then comes to a point of where he's so high in power, he shouldn't even be going anywhere near that.
So you think so maybe there's a thing for the people in power reflects the thoughts of those. It's an age thing. Yeah, it is an age thing.
Massively an age thing.
But no, horrific that is still happening. I'm sure there's stories breaking every week or so.
We were in such a far place further along in terms of this than some countries. Like, I know people are still being killed for it. Like, I know some countries that's happening.
Yeah, of course, but...
and so I am grateful to be here, and I imagine so are a lot of the other people in the LGBT community, but it doesn't mean we're still happy.
All good?
All good.
So even though that transition for you guys was nice and short, we've been away for a bit. We've been away for quite a while. You can't see it, but there's a replacement camera now, because technology, we're certain it's against us. Yeah, that one there. Bizarrely the same one that fucked up last time, but not the same camera.
That one did fuck up last time as well.
That angle, No,
that phone fucked up.
Oh, the phone fucked up as well, yeah.
Yeah, but not the same camera or angle.
No, of course not. Why would the same thing fuck up?
I don't think it's...
When different things can mess up.
It's not a thing if something doesn't fuck up, but you know what? It happens.
Yeah. Speaking of massive fuck-ups, Harvey Weinstein. That's my segue. I don't know if it's okay. In terms of
he is a fuck up.
Yeah, he is. Not that he fucked up. But he did, but not in the sense of whoopsie. Like he's a fuck up.
He's a fuck up.
Just getting that clear.
Yeah.
So on the 22nd of January, it was the first day Harvey Weinstein appears in court against the many women. Yes, 6 were there, and then
and altogether, there was roughly 70 women who made accusations.
70
that made accusations against him.
They went to court, didn't they?
Yes.
And then two of them formed what was said to be the heart of the prosecution. So 2 years and 3 months later, after the first public accusation was made, is he finally in court? Which is, I think, a testament to how shocking the system is.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose you've got to go through you've got to cross all the T's and dot the I's, but it's horrendous that people have had to. Okay, so I don't think there's a debate here to be had about him. There's not a debate. He's a vile human. But a debate that I am willing to have, if we are opposing in thought, would be: could you give me an answer of yes or no? Can you separate arts and artists? If you can't give me yes or no, that's fine.
I can't, in short terms, I can't give you a yes or no, because if he was solely the artist, if he was solely the only person,
of course,
who created it and that was there, morally you don't want to support it. Like imagine if Banksy came out and turned out to be a serial killer. You wouldn't want to. His art would then. You wouldn't want to promote. You wouldn't want to be like that art. You'd be like, oh wow, he's such a great art. Like you wouldn't, would you? But he still is a good artist. Yeah, he's still a good artist, but you morally. But you wouldn't want to. And therefore, but because of Harvey Weinstein, the work he created was with many others.
Then it's okay.
It's unfair to just say that work's then shit and not want to be associated with that work, because that's unfair on all the other artists that were put effort into that work as well. Yeah, because
Harvey Weinstein is one of the producers on one of my favourite films of all time, the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah.
He's one of the producers on that, and for me to be like, well, he had a hand in it, so I don't want to be watching that.
Exactly.
That's just silly.
I think you can very much dislike the person, not want to have anything of theirs, but when it's a group project like that, it's very hard to take away. I think, for instance, is like something that's close to us because obviously we're actors. If you were in a film or a TV series and another actor who'd been in it for multiple seasons, say with you, and then they came along and, like many instances, like the Glee series, for example, one of the actors was found having child pornography. All of a sudden, you wouldn't just dislike, like for me, I wouldn't all of a sudden dislike Glee. I wouldn't just kick off and say I'm never watching Glee again.
Yeah, but
because of one of the artists' decisions to make the wrong turn in life. I wouldn't. Because that's unfair on all the others.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I think that's the same instance of Harvey Weinstein. No, don't like him, don't like his work, don't like what he's done, but I cannot not like his work, sorry. Like, he's created something with others. Yeah.
The counter argument to that would be, and I've heard it from someone, would be that the reason he's got to where he is, the reason he's able to produce the work that we love, the reason he was able to produce all the things to be there was his way of manipulating power. So then is that a cause not to watch anything that he's involved in? Because when Kevin Spacey, when it all broke about Kevin Spacey, I hold my hands up, I watched House of Cards again because I thought, oh, do you know what, I haven't seen Kevin Spacey in anything in a while, I'll watch House of Cards again because it's one of my favourite TV shows, and he is a phenomenal actor. You can't, whatever he's done, however horrible it is, you can't doubt the fact that he's incredible at his art. Even though he's a piece of fucking shit. It's such a difficult, but also like everyone will carry on singing to Ignition by R. Kelly when that comes on. It's a tune.
It's because their work can have such an impact on who you are, but then
you can't just take it away from you.
Can't just take it away from it, because there's a lot with art. It creates memories as well. Yeah. And then for you to suddenly take that away because of what someone has done. Yeah. It's not mentally possible because of everything that's happened with that piece of art. that's been involved with you.
Look at the whole of Western culture and Michael Jackson, whose music will still be easily found. I mean, Ignition by R. Kelly is still on Spotify. They've removed it from playlists, but you can still find it.
No, I know, and that's the same with, I think, like, a very common thing was, like, This Christmas, when they took that word out of that song.
Yeah. I just feel, I'll be honest, there's more important things in the world.
There is.
I really, if you're caring that much about it, just because for one time a year you can say a derogatory term without anyone batting an eyelid. That is literally the only reason. And there's bigger things to worry about.
There's so much more to worry about, and these instances, it was so long ago that song was created as well.
Yeah, crazy.
And in those instances, I think sometimes you just got to be like, that's how it was, now we're changing. So with the Harvey Weinstein incident, that's when more factors come into play and how it's hurt more people. And he's been charged, he's in prison, he's being
as we speak now,
sentenced. He's gone, like, not gone, but justice has been served for at least some of the women. Yeah. And
I mean, they'll never be able to, I'm not sure on the complexity and the harshness of what he did to someone. I haven't read into it that much because I do find it a bit, it's just difficult to read, but also, like, a lot of it is hidden. A lot of it was settled in court. But I feel like he's gone to prison. Yeah, they may have their closure, and justice may have been served. But some of those women are going to be like, what are their careers like? Did he ruin some of their careers? Has he ruined their lives? Has he ruined?
Yeah, exactly.
Their child's lives. Like, you don't even know.
Like we were saying earlier, these little things could have such a big impact on so many different people for longer.
The idea that he's just affected 72 women, he's affected a lot more than that, because this lit the fire with the Me Too movement.
Yeah, the Me Too movement very much kicked off with this.
Yeah, it was a thing before. I'm aware.
Yeah, but this blew it up more. So, changing a little bit of Harvey Weinstein, how much do you think this incident affected the stereotypes of what actors do and directors do in terms of for jobs? Because there's always this stereotype of actors and directors abusing their power. Do you think this instance had more of an impact on that kind of side?
I would hope it would give people more confidence to come out and speak against people who tone it down, who are just rude people and who are just not very nice people. I would hope that would happen. I would hope that an attitude has changed and that there's a gaining confidence in especially female actors, that they can come forward and say stuff about their male directors.
Oh, and now I'm just getting flashbacks to Harvey Weinstein's thing, where he walked up with a Zimmer frame, walking like the little...
Yeah, so part of me thinks that is just a bit of a stunt.
Oh, 100%.
But also,
he's this poor old innocent man, he can't have done this.
But I will say this though, what happened, you see this trend, I'm just got his face now, my tablet, get off. You do have this trend of when people are found out about things, they do very quickly look at Julian Assange, he looked ill. But yeah, I get it. It was a bit of a...
Your life crushing down. I can see that.
I'm just ill. I'm just a bit ill. Nah.
I think that can definitely take a toll on someone, but...
rightfully so.
If you see an old man walking into court with his damage broken, you're going to give him a little bit of a pity.
Yeah. Especially when he's someone who most people, I only knew his face before because I'm interested in film and things. If you don't know who he is, he's not on the screen. You won't see his face.
I didn't know about him.
You didn't know?
I didn't know him until the court case.
If someone said to me before, "Who's Harvey Weinstein?" I'd be like, he's a filmmaker, he's a producer. Yeah.
No idea, because as much as I'm an actor, I should know these things. I never really pay attention to the directors.
And
so I never really knew who he was until this kicked off, and then still when I looked into him, I was like, he did this, he did that. And
but you watch films.
What he did. Yeah. I was like, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so the idea that people wouldn't have seen him, and the first time a lot of people would have seen him, is seen a famous image, and you type in Weinstein, he is there on his Zimmer phone. It's not him standing on a red carpet. It's that horrible image. But we sit here now, and it's done. I mean, it's not done in the sense of the poor people who have gone through that and have kept that hidden. I can't imagine keeping a secret like that. I'd like to think that if I was ever in the industry that high up,
But that's where the point comes in, because if you suddenly come out and then they believe nobody's going to listen to them, he could have easily just snapped his fingers and they would never get a job again. You can see the worry in,
but
these,
that happened.
in these women's
That
faces.
would have happened. That would have happened. People, if no one believes me, he's just going to go.
And the only way it would, I think it came out like it did is because all these women came together.
Yep.
And they all started coming out one-on-one, and it was too much for him to.
Yeah, you can't. Because you could be like, oh, she's just. What's that favourite? Like, oh, she just wants the spotlight.
Yeah.
Bollocks, rubbish. How many of those women could you name? And we've researched. I can name one.
I know who they are.
I don't even know, but that's that is
I remember
evidence.
when I researched them, I remember seeing their faces.
So that's
and
when,
looking into them.
yeah.
Like I know who they are, but I don't.
But when people say, oh, they just want the spotlight, they haven't got the spotlight now as we're talking. So that's clearly not a thing. That's just bollocks. If you believe in that, it's just shit. You twat. No need for that.
But yeah, in conclusion,
he's in jail and he's going to be suffering with his own thoughts for the rest of his life.
And hopefully these women have found some sort of closure and justice served, and they should know. Hopefully they can continue with their careers without worrying about any other director doing this to them again.
I'm going to just try and tuck it out of shot for a bit while we play this lovely little game. Right, we're going to play a fun game. We're about to spend a lot of time together doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So we should be on the same sort of wavelength. And some of you may watch, some of you watching may know that this has happened a few times where Byron has managed to guess a card that I've been holding. It happened
It's
quite...
got to be a good 4 or 5 times. You just picked up a random card and I've got 4 clubs.
I remember 4 clubs I remember very vividly. Okay, so we're going to see if we can be on the same wavelength just for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have a go each, I think.
Yeah, just going to see if we can vibe with each other. We're going to give each other one clue, and that's usually just going to be the length or the category of the word. No, we'll just say category. Actually.
Just the category?
Just the category. Not the length of the word, just the category.
Okay, so I'll write down...
You'll go first. You'll write your word down and then give me one clue, and I've got to try and guess what it is.
Interesting. And you can also see the writer, so
yeah,
you can sort of gauge that. Why you look at the camera? I think you're like looking in a mirror or something. Okay. I have written down a country.
A country?
Yeah. I will be honest, I should write this again because if you know me, my handwriting is awful.
Is what you've got like what you call doctor's handwriting?
It's worse than that.
Well, like doctors because they write so quickly and have to write notes so like down.
Yeah.
I say like a lot, sorry. That's how I imagine it sometimes.
You were looking at how I was writing that.
No.
Oh, you're not? Okay. Right, so I've written it.
I think it'd be too obvious if it's Dubai. I think it'd be really too obvious if
it's also not a country. That's fine.
Is it not?
No, it's the UAE. It's the country.
Oh.
Dubai's just a city. Not even the capital.
I don't think you would have gone for something really obscure either. I don't think so.
Okay.
There's one that's sticking. No, it can't be that one. Okay, just send me the wavelengths.
We're not cheating, by the way.
Okay.
Oh, I don't think I said it to you strong enough.
3.
Do you think you got it?
No. 3,
2, 1.
Oh! Shit.
Wrong.
Well, I tried.
Yeah. Oh shit, wasn't it? Right.
I had France in my head as well, but I was like, France is a bit obvious as well. It can't be
I thought you were going to put Norway now because you spoke about Norway earlier.
No.
So I thought I'd go Norway. One day we're going to get this. It's going to be mental. We're doing this because we've had 3 horrible stories. So lighten the mood before we move on to it.
Okay. Let's go with...
Right, what is it?
Mode of transport.
It's a mode of transport. Okay. Interesting. What's that screaming?
Children.
Okay. Okay, it's a mode of transport.
Screaming it at you.
I think I might have got it.
Don't think you do.
What did you say?
Because your pen was on that board for too long.
Well, I'm going to have to finish what I thought I was going to put. Oh, it's not the... You've written bus, haven't you?
No, I wrote bike.
No, motorbike.
Ah! Safe.
Oh, that is a nightmare.
You're close.
All right. Well, we'll see if we can get closer next time.
No, bye. You were so fucking close.
Should have just said bike. Oh.
Shorten it. You know I'm short and simple. Like, just...
Yeah, but you could have a bicycle. You could have a bicycle. So I'm not going to...
If you put bicycle and I wrote bike, I would have accepted.
No, it's got to be exactly. It's got to be the same. It's got to be the same words. So, your notes for this section for the Grammys consist of 2 words.
2 words. Billie Eilish.
Because she won how many? 4.
4.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, imagine. It's very. I had this conversation with a music student yesterday.
Okay.
We were talking about an essay she wrote, and we were like, oh, so is it ever considered like there's certain people you don't write about when like referencing artists because obviously they're too mainstream or too basic.
Okay.
And she's like, oh yeah, I'd like never reference Selena Gomez or Miley Cyrus for example because they're too like mainstream like pop music, like, unless it's like very you had to. There's just something like there's always something you can like easily mention to get you a couple of. She was like these things, and I was like, oh, what do you think of Billie Eilish? And then John got involved with the conversation, and we were like,
it's his second appearance already, John, I think.
Yeah, and he was like, we were talking about it, and Maddie's like, yeah, she's good music, she's got it, and then John was like, I don't like nothing, and then we were talking about Billie Eilish, and it went on to her James Bond song, and they said it was very similar to Sam Smith's.
Byron, it's one of the worst James Bond songs I have ever heard. On to the next segment.
She's a good artist. From her age of creating this music and getting 4 Grammys, she's doing something right.
Or is her brother doing it right? Her brother's the one.
I was going to say no.
Her brother's the. No. You don't know, but no one knows Billie Eilish's brother. He's a musician in his own right, and he is one of the producers on the album. Yeah,
but how many artists are there that have producers and
all I'm saying,
behind them?
Also, first time we've had an argument. All I'm saying is that Billie Eilish, as a person, I think she's brilliant. I think I respect her a lot. I think she's awesome. I think when I see her on interviews, I think she's very funny. Yeah. I'm getting a bit tired of that one interview every year, though.
Oh, I love Vanity Fair interviews.
Oh, it's a bit like what we going to. It's okay if you just play the interview, but if you play each response every night, I've only got as far as how many followers she has, and I'm lose track. Like I can't even bother. It's like. They've done the 4th one, haven't they?
The 4th one just got released.
In October, yeah.
And I enjoy
because it's October fucking...
every single one of them. Because her growth as an artist and as a person...
Yeah, and I absolutely appreciate that. All I'm going to say is that, in my opinion, because music is subjective, I need to say that, otherwise Kaya will kick my... fucking bite my head off, is that in terms of the talent used to make her songs... I feel like I'm going to really anger some people. I don't think it's a lot. I think there are people out there who do more and receive less credit. So I'm a big fan of rap, and there's a lot of underground rappers who haven't got the stage. I genuinely think Bad Guy. I honestly think it's one of the worst songs I've ever heard.
Well, I'm glad you expressed your opinion here. It is not the worst song you've ever heard. It is not terrible.
It's awful.
But you know as much as any artist's career, a lot of it comes, no matter how talented you are, a lot of it comes down to luck. And she was lucky to have the platform she was given. She's come from somewhere. She's lucky enough to just be picking up by someone. Lucky enough to... There's luck comes into it massively. Okay. And then as soon as that luck's picked her up, the talents come in, then her producers get involved and whatnot. Yeah. No matter there is, when you come to this scale, there is going to be so many people trying to edit and fix what you've got to create something which will be popular demand at that level.
Okay, yeah, I get that.
And so, yes, you said there's a lot of underground artists, and that's because that's solely them. And when you get to these people who are in such mainstream eyes, it has to be edited down to some level of what is going to be publicly loved.
I feel like when that happens, what I get from that, seeing it, is a loss of love for the music they're creating and just a want to remain on the platform they're on. I would...
Yeah, I agree with you that the games comes from a point of an artist is who they are and what they are.
Yeah.
And as soon as you've got the chance to be in the chance of winning Grammys and all this and be
Yeah.
at this level, you'll change yourself a little bit. You'll change your style a little bit to be given these opportunities. If you're telling me, so say in our industry, if you got told you could do this role, this big famous role with a chance of winning Oscars,
Okay.
if you had to, so say your style was very much doing this, and then you got told you had to change it and to do something slightly different.
Well, I would instantly say that being an actor is about changing your style.
So why can't music?
No. My argument isn't with Billie Eilish changing her style. My argument is just her style is I don't like it.
Yeah. Zac Efron grew up with the younger generation.
I think he's brilliant.
Doing his High School Musical, his children things.
Yeah.
Growing older, then moving into.
He's aged like a fine wine, isn't he? That's what people say.
Yeah. Bad Neighbours, doing that, and then moving up and doing more finer work.
He did like a documentary on
with the age group that grew up with him, and so Billie Eilish, I think, is a different circumstance because she's a style where she's come into the mainstream straight away, and you then therefore have to make the decision if you like her or not.
So do you think
saw her change?
Do you think in 10 years' time, if she releases an album in 10 years' time, do you think it will be the same kind of music as it is now?
No. It might be similar, it might be different,
Yeah.
but I think it will very much have changed at least slightly. Because
would it have changed so that she remains on top of her game and on top of the charts, or has it changed because of what she likes to create? Because there I have an issue. I've got an issue when. And it's not my issue to have. I mean, I'll boil it down. If there's no cameras and microphones, I couldn't give a shit. But I have an issue when bands and musicians change their music just to fit in with the time. Just stick what you do, and then the people that do love you, you know that they love you for the villain. So look at Maroon 5. Look at Maroon 5. They change. They've got so many different styles of music. They have changed with whatever's popular at the time. They've done. What's that? Girls? Is that bad? That's.
I know what you're about.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I just lose a bit of respect for the artist.
That's one thing. It's hard to identify Billie Eilish at the moment because she's only been in the public eye for a max of 4 years.
Yeah, fair enough.
And so.
How many Vanity Fair interviews she had 4? So.
4.
Yeah.
And so what she's doing at the moment is she's created her music, and then she's got the chance to go such into the public eye from a young age. Why not take that opportunity? Why not change it a little bit? But I still think what she's creating is very true to who she is. I think.
I'd be intrigued to see if she makes music that she enjoys making.
But remember, she's very young. I can't remember how old she is, but she's near our age.
She's 18?
18, 19, I can't remember. And
she's not 20, I know that.
No. And so think back to how a lot can change in 10 years. So in 10 years' time, she's going to be a completely different person with 10 years more life experience.
Which is 19, yeah.
A lot of things can happen at that time, and that can affect her music and art a lot. Yeah. And so it will change, definitely, but whether she becomes one of those artists that stick with the times, like you said, with Maroon 5, and trying to just stick in the public eye because they're happy with being famous and changing their art.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining.
Very valid. I think I'm just intrigued. I mean, I'll listen to whatever new stuff she releases. Yeah. Someone else who did win the best solo live performance, Lizzo.
Lizzo.
I genuinely think she is one of the greatest people ever to live.
I can just smash out her music all day, every day. She
is phenomenal.
Lizzo, I love you.
She's not watching, but it's fine.
She better.
She better. I think she is. She's fucking her music.
And that's what the artist do. I think she truly sticks to herself.
Yeah, she's absolutely herself. The persona that she is playing on stage is exactly who she is when she's at her home with her friend, and you can absolutely get that.
Anyway. This is what happened a year ago.
Yeah. It's episode 2, yeah, right. So
that was it. So going on from last episode, you gave me an album to listen to.
I did give you a very good album. I hope
it was a good album. I enjoyed listening to it very much. I don't know how you can't enjoy listening to Bowie.
You can't.
He's a true icon. I must admit, it's not really my style, but
yeah, no, I appreciate that.
It was nice listening to. But yeah, that's my turn to give you an album.
I'm excited.
And
I feel like I know who it's going to be.
You do know who it's going to be, because earlier I mentioned it, and we both mentioned it, Lizzo.
Yeah.
And
then we cut the cameras and you told me.
Yeah. Because we both like Lizzo.
Yeah, I think she's brilliant.
I obviously listened. I feel like I've listened to more.
I think
of
you
her
have.
in depth, and I am going to give you her biggest album that's come
What's that
out.
one called?
Because I Love You. And it is
Oh, I thought you were saying. Wait.
like 9 times show that's what the album's called.
I thought you were saying I'm going to give you this album because I love you.
No.
I thought, oh, that's very nice.
Yeah, Because I Love You by Lizzo, just double checking that. I know you to listen not just to the big songs that have come out on stage, I think, yeah, you can jam along to them.
Okay.
But listen to the more...
The ones that aren't in the charts, yeah. So yeah, because I'm looking through the album. I know, obviously I know Juice, I know Truth Hurts, I know Good as Hell, I know Better in Colour. And
like we were saying earlier, the lyrics are very truthful to who she is. See how much that goes across all of her work.
Okay, cool.
And if you've got time or you want to branch into her other songs as well if you want.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But just in general, Lizzo.
Sorted.
I think she's like my go-to.
Lovely stuff. I'll come back with a more in-depth view of her and hopefully an even better, improved opinion of her.
Please do.
Will do. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much. That was episode number 2.
Yeah, so we need to. I'll be honest, we're not great at this.
Hopefully by episode 15 will be improved.
We took on a technical challenge, and you've noticed in the first episode that some of the cuts and some of the camera, and there was a camera missing. I'm barely in it, and you won't notice actually too much in this one. But what has happened is the cameras have been annoying. This can fuck off. We decided to take on something very technically challenging. Whilst not being very technically aware ourselves.
It's a very learning experience for us, and it may not be great, it may not be perfect, but at least we've had fun doing it.
Have we?
At least we've had fun doing it.
We've had fun doing it.
We've had
fun doing it. But so unfortunately we can't have any guests at the moment.
But hopefully we will in the future.
Yeah, so if there is something that happens this year, whether it be coronavirus related or not, or something that you think we may have missed, or do get in touch, either
email or it'll be attached after this video. You can DM us on Instagram
or below
or email, whatever you do. Just
and when
if
you
want anything mentioned or you just want opinions, we don't care. We're open. We'll listen to them.
And a big thing we will need is some coronavirus stories because I don't know about yourself, but I was very lucky in lockdown.
Yeah.
Very lucky. So I feel like me saying, "Oh God, lockdown was hard. It was tough," doesn't hold much validity to it. So if you do have a story that you'd like to share, good or bad, or fun things you did, share and we can mention.
Yeah.
And when you do scroll down, to comment on this, there's a little button, with a little thumbs up. If you don't mind clicking that, and the little red one that says subscribe on it, that would be lovely.
That would be perfect because you know what, we do like validation.
As much as it seems towards the end of these videos that we are sitting here not giving a shit, we do care, and we're doing this because 2020 passed us very quickly, and we didn't.
Just want to relive it a little.
Well, no, we don't want to do that at all because we've got 2021 for that. But we just want to digest it and really look at what happened.
Exactly what happened. But yeah. Anyways, thank you.
We'll get better at sign-offs as well in a bit.